Hola mis amigos, we're making strawberry jam. For today's video, we will be using the electric pressure cooker by AICOOK. And as you know, AICOOK has quickly become one of the Cookin' Amigo favorites around here, as we have tried their waffle iron, popcorn machine, and last episode we checked out their blender where we made the peanut butter. So we are going to be making the better half of that. We are going to be using the pressure cooker to make the jam today. And as you know, pressure cookers are making a major comeback right now. This pressure cooker is 1000 watts and is a 6-quart capacity pressure cooker. But the difference is today, most pressure cookers are now multifunctional. So you see things like the Instapot and so on and so forth. So this is definitely going to be one of that, as this is considered an 18-in-1 device. And as we can see on the screen here, there are quite a few presets to choose from. Here we have rice, bean, porridge, fish, egg, sterilize, stew, steam, saute, pressure cook, soup, slow cook, jam, bread, yogurt, meat, and chicken. And that's not even everything that you can do with this device. So, of course, today we are going to be using the jam function. So let's go ahead and open this up and see what all we have for accessories. So we're just going to lift the lid here. And inside, we can see we have a steamer tray, and here are the rest of our accessories here in a bubble wrapped bag. So we have the power cable, which obviously we are going to need. Let me just open this and get this out. Power cable, a rice ladle, and this is going to be the condensation collector, if I can just get that out. So we definitely want to make sure we get this attached, because this will be collecting all the condensation from the pressure cooking. We have a measuring cup, and of course this is the inner pot, and that feels very nice. Nice quality, and it is stainless steel. I think all of my other devices is just all silver, but this seems to have sort of a non-stick surface to it, so that's very interesting. And here we have our steamed egg rack, so you can put all your eggs here and steam them. Here we have some silicone gloves so that we can handle removing the inner pot or any of the accessories from the device. And a silicone scrubber. So this is going to help us to scrub the pan clean, but without destroying our non-stick surface. So let's go ahead and get all of our ingredients together, and I'm going to clean this inner pot and connect this and add the condensation collector, and then we will be ready to start preparing the jam. Okay, so I went ahead and rinsed out our inner pot, so that is ready to go. So for this recipe, we are going to be making a small batch today. I'm going to be using 1 pound of berries, and the berry of my choice for today is going to be a strawberry. So what you're going to need is 1 pound of sliced strawberries. You can use fresh or frozen. I'm using frozen today because the strawberries in my strawberry patch, most of them are new starts for this season, so we're not quite ready to get a full harvest. So frozen is totally fine for what we are trying to accomplish today. And then also to that, we are going to add a sweetener. You don't have to do this, but if you want it to be a little bit sweeter, you can do so. And you're going to be adding that to taste. If you are using sugar, I would probably start with about 1/4 of a cup. I am making a keto jam today, so I am going to be using an alternative sweetener, and my sweetener of choice is going to be allulose, and I'm going to be adding 1/3 of a cup of allulose, and that is because allulose is a little bit less sweeter than sugar, so you do need a little bit more. I highly would not recommend using erythritol, those of you who are on a low carb diet. I know we all love our erythritol, however, it does like to crystallize. So once the jam is done and then we have to refrigerate it, you're going to end up with a hard brick of jam that you're probably going to have to reheat in order to use, and that is because of the recrystallization of the erythritol. So it's best to leave that out altogether and go with allulose. I like allulose because it works the same way as sugar does. It's great for making syrups as well as caramelizing and anything like that. So we are going with the 1/3 of a cup of allulose. And then to that we are going to add 1 tablespoon of water and 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. And we're just going to give this a quick stir to combine. And if you want, you can let this sit for about 15 minutes or so just to get everything nice and sweetened, and you sort of start to release all of the juices from your strawberries, and everything starts to sort of become more syrupy. I let my frozen strawberries thaw just a little bit, so this works for me. But if you're using stone cold and rock frozen strawberries, there's really not much point of letting it sit in the sugar because it's not really penetrating anything. So we're going to let this sit for about 15 minutes, and then we will return to start cooking this up. Okay, so the strawberries have sat for 15 minutes and I have added the inner pot back into the cooker. So now I'm just going to zoom you in so that you can see the button presses. And of course I am going to add the lid. So here's our lid, and this part here is the release. So we're going to make sure that it's open for now, but when we put it on, we're going to lock this, okay? So let's go ahead and put the lid on right now. And I am going to zoom you into the screen. Okay, so now we are zoomed in here, and we are of course going to be using the jam preset. So all we need to do is turn the dial until we reach jam. And there it is. And by default, that setting is 60 minutes. And it went ahead and automatically started for us. But if we needed to add more time or change the time, we would have pressed the timer button and then made our adjustments. But we're going to work it with just the preset for 60 minutes. And then we are going to let this naturally release for about 10 minutes or so. And then we'll release the rest of the steam. And then we will check on our jam and see if we need to add any thickening agent. And if so, we will be using Xanthan Gum. So we're just going to let this go, and then we will be back once the cycle is complete. Okay, we are back, and I let the pressure naturally release for 15 minutes. So now we're going to go ahead and completely release any remaining pressure. And as we can see, there was nothing. So we are good to go ahead and open this and see what we have. All right, looks like everything is nice and soft. And as you can see, there's a lot of liquid in here, but that's okay. We are not done. We're going to go ahead and work on thickening this up. Let me go ahead and get you to a better angle and then we will get started. Okay, so the first thing we are going to do now is to go ahead and just continue to break up the strawberries, which it doesn't take much to do at all. It's pretty much breaking on impact. And we just want to get this down to whatever texture we prefer. And we are going to be sauteing here in a moment, so we are going to be moving this around a lot so it will break down more. So next what we're going to be doing is we are going to go ahead and work on thickening this. So what you can do is you can create a cornstarch slurry if you prefer. But I am actually going to be using xanthan gum. So here is 1/2 of a teaspoon of xanthan gum. And the reason that I use xanthan gum, of course, is because it is a low carb option. But even if I weren't a low carb eater, I would use it over cornstarch because it does not matter what temperature you use when you are working with this thickening agent. With a cornstarch, you have to create a slurry in a cooler water first, and then you can add it into your hot liquid. Xanthan gum works for any temperature liquid, and a little bit goes a very long way. So again, this is only 1/2 of a teaspoon, and we're just going to drizzle carefully this right over top of the liquid and just kind of let the liquid grab the xanthan gum down into it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to turn this on to the saute setting and just kind of saute this and stir this around until some of the juices have evaporated and we are at the thickness that we prefer. And I'm actually going to stop right here with the xanthan gum. You see we still have quite a bit left. I would say that I added about 1/4 a teaspoon because I want to go ahead and start the saute, and then we'll see if we need more, because again, a little goes a long way with xanthan gum. This will thicken up pretty darn quickly. So now I'm going to quickly just turn the device over to the saute setting. And we are just going to stir this around while continue to break down the berries if we need to until this thickens to our desired consistency. And that is it. Notice that we're not working with any gelatin or anything of that nature. We're just letting the xanthan gum do all of the work. And sometimes you don't even need a thickening agent. You can just cook it down to your desired consistency, but in this case we're making more of a jam, so I want it to have that consistency. So I'm just going to stir this around. We're on saute until it's nice and thick, and then we are going to add this to the jars, and then we will return. All right, so we're just checking in 5 minutes or so into the saute process. And you can see this is kind of where we are. And you can consider this done if you want. I'm gonna let this go a little bit more. At this point, it's all about personal preference and how you like your jam to be. But I want mine just a little bit thicker. And I think I'm going to go ahead and add more of our xanthan gum to this. Actually, maybe not. This is starting to really come together before my eyes here. So I'm going to let it saute for about 2 to 3 minutes more, and then we'll see where we are and decide if we need to add any more xanthan gum. I have tasted it and it tastes fantastic so far. So at this point, it's just all about getting that texture right. Okay, so it's been about 2 more minutes of sauteing. I did not add any more xanthan gum, and I just kind of want to show you when you slide your spatula across the bottom, you can see how it's sort of pulling away and revealing the bottom of our pot. That's when we know we are ready, or at least for me, for my taste. This is where I'm going to stop. So we're going to turn this off, and I'm going to jar this up, and then we will return. Okay, so I went ahead and jarred up our jam, and I'm using the same half pint jars that we used for our peanut butter. So as you can see here, we ended up with almost 1 full pint of jam for the 1 pound that we used of the fruit. So just keep that in mind, and of course that does depend on the texture and how thick you like your jam, but for what I made today, this is absolutely fantastic. So of course we don't want to cover this up right away because this is still hot. So we're going to let this cool a bit before we put the lids on, and then we are good to go to refrigerate this. Special thanks to our friends at AICOOK for another fantastic product. Again, this is their electric pressure cooker, and it definitely does the job. I can't wait to see what we do next with this company. I will have all of the information in the description box below, as well as a link to the video for the peanut butter. Strawberry jam, enjoy, and I'll see you at the dinner table.